this is Faith at Catholic Unschooling Coach, and I felt inspired to make a video about what to do when you're in the winter doldrums or life just feels really oppressive and you're frustrated by maybe a lack of development, or your kids don't seem to be learning much, or there's a lot of bickering, or they're just family life seems kind of claustrophobic. And I'm thinking about it because we're in January, and often people have the winter doldrums during this time anyhow. But also we're in the middle of this ongoing pandemic, which has, caused so many problems and so much tension and gloom and that sort of thing. And then, even grief for people who've lost family members and friends. But also our political unrest, and that's a lot of tension. And so it's a hard time right now. And so if on top of all that, on top of it being winter and the pandemic and politics, and then if you're also going through a period where you're just really questioning this unschooling thing, and everything feels, irritating or disappointing or frustrating, it can be a hard time. And I know I experienced many of those phases. And so I thought I would just talk about, just in hindsight, what I think works. And of course, I'm not qualified really to give any sort of real counseling or anything like that, but this is just what I gleaned from my very imperfect homeschooling life. And the first thing, of course, as Catholics is prayer. And I don't consider myself very good at praying. But at some point, I shifted, and I do think I got a little better, because what would happen is when I was full of anxiety and full of gloom, and I would go and pray, I often used it as a way to sort of, just present a litany of the things that were upsetting me. And it would often not bring peace, but it would sort of rile me up. It was just another way for me to brood about the things that were bothering me. But at some point, and I don't remember how or when it shifted, or where I got the idea from, but at some point, I realized what I was doing to myself, and that I was using prayer as a way to brood. And it's not that I don't think you can't go to the Lord and tell him all the things that are bothering you. But I think there's a difference between that and like venting or grousing about things. Because if you get in the habit of grousing all the time, your brain starts to work that way. And you make it a habit. You make it a habit. And that's what I was doing. And so at some point, somehow, I thought, I'm not going to enumerate it to the Lord. So when I would go in prayer, I would say, Lord, you already know everything that's in my heart. I don't have to enumerate it and risk the chance of just getting to this thing where I'm just brooding over all my injuries or everything that's bothering me. Instead, I'm just going to hand it over to you. And I literally visually had this, I was handing this bundle of grievances over to the Lord. And I was giving it up. I was just handing it to him. And I didn't have to enumerate them because he already knew. And then I tried to just become more passive and just listen, which is very hard for me because I'm very ADD and my mind just rushes and rushes and rushes, especially in prayer when I'm trying to quiet it. And so that was really like painful almost, that I would almost have like a panicky feeling sometimes before I got over it. And then I would just try to be a receptor. I wanted to be passive. I just wanted to listen. And that's what inspired me to make this video, because of the reading at Mass. I'm making this on Sunday, January 17th or something. I'm not exactly sure of the date. I think it's the 17th of January. Because the first reading was Samuel and the calling of Samuel. And the priest who gave the homily said, sometimes we're more inclined to say, listen, Lord, your servant is speaking, rather than speak, Lord, your servant is listening, right? We get it backwards. We want to tell God all about it, what we want, instead of just listening, just being quiet and listening and waiting for the Lord to speak to us. And a lot of times, for me anyway, it's not like I hear a voice like in the Bible or anything like that. But somehow, by making myself passive and just a listener, somehow that feeds the rest of my relationship in the rest of the areas of my life. So, and I can't explain it, but there's something that sort of, boosts up or lightens the load in a way, and it somehow it deepens. I feel deeper in my relationship with Jesus, even though I don't hear like words or somehow a direct response. There's something about just being willing, just the act of being willing to become a receptor that is soothing, that somehow is comforting. And the thing about when you go to pray, and this sounds kind of new agey, but it isn't, because my mother used to say this: when you're upset, take 3 deep breaths, she used to say. And when you do that, when you go to pray and you're praying because you're upset about something, or something's frustrating you, you feel blocked or whatever, there's a child that's just getting on your last nerve or whatever it is, if you take those 3 deep breaths, and you can feel, and you're getting ready to be passive to the Lord, you're handing it over, and then you're going to be passive. You can feel your heart rate go down. You can feel your blood pressure go down. You can feel the tension go out of your neck. And that kind of ties in with the second reading today, which was your body being a temple of the Spirit. You're making yourself a better home for the Spirit, by doing this physical thing and by listening. Like, it's all tied together. And so that's what I would recommend when you get in that mood, when you're going through those dark phases. Be willing to be passive and just let God's love wash over you. And it's hard to put into words what it does, although it does physically help you. And I think, for me anyway, in my experience, it helped me be calmer and better able to parent. And so that's the first thing. But then there are 3, I was thinking about this, there are 3 areas where you can sort of be proactive in shifting the mood of the house, and shifting out of this negativity that you can get trapped in and stuck in. And the first thing is that I was thinking is shift the mood of the house. And that means, since you're the captain of the ship when it comes to homeschooling and managing the house, usually you are, it's shifting your mood. And so often for me, finding something that was really bothering me that I did have control over and just focusing on that. And so, like laundry used to totally overwhelm me. So just taking the weekend, focusing on getting all the laundry done, maybe developing a better system, just sort of really intentionally focusing on that irritant. And then I would feel better, and my mood would lighten because I had done something, I'd accomplished something. Or it could be something else too, just doing something celebratory, or something fun. You all decide to watch reruns of I Love Lucy that week, or something that brings laughter and will lighten the mood of the whole house. And then the second thing would be to shift out of that negativity with that particular child that's bothering you, or you're disappointed in, or you're worried about, that 8-year-old that still isn't reading, or, the 13-year-old that seems to have a bad attitude, or whatever. And just intentionally work on, rebonding with that child and erasing that negativity and making it a more positive, thing. How are you going to be more affectionate with that child? How are you going to rekindle a feeling of intimacy and enjoyment, pleasure in each other's company? That sort of thing. So something fun, maybe for me, it was always read alouds, read aloud together, or how are you going to laugh together? Maybe, you have a child who used to cook with a lot and then you haven't been doing that so much, and if you sort of suggest that or somehow that comes up in the week, that could be a bonding thing. Whatever it is, taking a walk together, whatever, singing songs together, whatever it is, just rekindle intimacy and affection with that child that you're feeling the most irritated with or the most disappointed with. So that's it. Shift the mood of the house, shift the mood of the relationship that's most bothering you. And the last thing, and I always say this, is journal. Journal what's going on in the house, so that you'll see learning going on that you might have ignored because you were being so negative. You just were kind of blind to what was good that was going on. But also it'll help you step back and see sort of the bigger picture, the dynamics that are going on. You'll be more observant, and so then you'll be better prepared to deal with whatever's coming up. So journaling really, really helps. So those are my prayer, a passive prayer. I don't know what you call it, but a prayer where you're listening more than telling, and doing something to shift the mood of the house, doing something to rekindle with those people in your household that are most bothering you. And then also just journaling so that you are better prepared, so that you see more and you're better prepared to respond to what's going on. So that's my advice for the winter doldrums and dealing with anxieties that inevitably come along with raising children and being in charge of their education. So I hope you're doing well, and God bless you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.